And our second speaker is Dr. Sukavanam Krishnan. Dr. Sukavanam Krishnan, welcome, sir, to the Festival of Oneness. Dr. Sukavanam Krishnan, a brief background about him. He is settled in Chennai, in Tamil Nadu, India. He is a full-time teacher of Vedanta, Nyaya, and Sanskrit. He previously owned a BPO software real estate business or businesses, and prior to that held many senior management positions in India, Kenya, and Dubai. Again, we are just talking about everyday Vedantans, everyday business leaders. They can definitely coexist. And here's another example. Dr. Sukavanam earned his PhD in Sanskrit, Master of Philosophy in Sanskrit, Master of Arts in Sanskrit. He's a chartered accountant, cost accountant, a bachelor's in zoology, and a certified SAP and Microsoft consultant. Wow, what a mix of that. That's just amazing. He's been a student of Vedanta since 1980, studied under Swamiji Dayananda Saraswati Ji, who we heard from many disciples of Dayananda Saraswati Ji, again reiterates our Guru Sishya Parampara, the true richness of India. And also under Swami Paramarthananda Saraswati. Dr. Sukavanam Krishnan has conducted several workshops and lecture series in India and abroad, and involved in several activities of Dharma Rakshana Samiti and Hindu Spiritual Services Fair, etc. He's a published author, and beyond his long list of educational qualifications, he's also a graded Mridangam artist. Sir, I love Mridangam. I just love the Taniya Vartanam aspect of Mridangam. And you're also, just to make your career a little more colored, you're also a certified astrologer. So what a wonderful background, and what an honor to have you on our festival. And you are going to share with us why celebrate Shankara, which is in fact the question that we wanted to answer throughout this festival. Why is Adi Shankara relevant today? Why should we celebrate him as an entrepreneur, as a leader, as a poet, as a change maker? And we are looking forward to hearing your insights. Why celebrate him in the 21st century? Please proceed, sir.
Thank you. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram. Om. Firstly, I would like to congratulate the Advaita Academy and the Indic Academy for even having thought of doing a global celebration for Shankaracharya, and a month-long celebration in that too. I was very happy that such an initiative was undertaken. Because it is a global festival, there are many people who may know who Shankara is, and many people who may not know who Shankara is. Even amongst those who know Shankara is, do they know Shankara as he should be known, or do they have their own idea of Shankara? This thought went into my mind, and therefore I thought I would speak about why celebrate Shankara, that too globally. I am in touch with Shankara's teachings on a daily basis. There is not a single day that passes in my life when I do not read his bhashya. And therefore, I am actually in touch with the person and his mind through his words. I was listening to the conversation in the last 10-15 minutes. Obviously, controversial remarks. Therefore, all the more there is a need to understand who is Shankara. If we understand who is Shankara, then everything falls in place. So the question that I'm going to deal with is, who is Shankara? And then we would look at why should Shankara we celebrate. In fact, if I answer who is Shankara, the answer to the question, why are we even in this celebration, would be answered. In our tradition, to understand anything, to gain knowledge of any given thing, there are two things that are required. Lakshana pramanabhyam vastu siddhihi. Lakshana means definition. Pramana means means of knowledge. I shall take a very simple example. If I am in a room where there is an elephant, if I do not know the definition of what an elephant is, I may be seeing the animal or the object in front of me, but I will not cognize it as an elephant. Therefore, Lakshana is very required. And assuming I know everything about how an elephant looks, but if I had closed all my senses, if I had closed my eyes and I am not touching the elephant, there is no way that I am establishing contact through my sense organs with the elephant. Then again, even though the elephant I have a wonderful idea about, I will not know that the elephant is there in front of me. So both these are inevitable, Lakshana and Pramana. Lakshana. Lakshana is definition, as I said, and it should not suffer from the following three defects. I'm just laying some background in order before I actually define Shankara. Let us say I want to define a cow. If I made a definition that all those that have 4 legs is a cow, then the Lakshana suffers from over application, ativyaptihi. Because a dog has 4 legs, a goat has 4 legs, a buffalo has 4 legs. There are many animals which are quadrupeds, and therefore the Lakshana over applies. If this is all that I said, that a cow is that which has got 4 legs, then somebody may actually go look at a dog, count the legs and say this is a cow. The Lakshana should not suffer from the dosha of ativyapti or over application. If I were to define a cow as that which is brown in color, then all those cows which could be in other colors such as white or black, gray, they all fall out of the definition. And therefore there is avyapti or under application. And then there is a third dosha which is called asambhavaha, impossibility. If I were to say a cow is that which has got 4 horns, we are never ever going to come across a cow which has got 4 horns. And therefore every definition will have to be rid of these 3 possible doshas: over application, ativyaptihi; under application, avyaptihi; and impossibility, asambhavaha. And in making a definition, because I have already said Lakshana Pramanabhyam Vastu Siddhihi, it is only when you define you can land on the Vastu that you want to understand. The Lakshanas will have to be so precise that you exactly land on what you want to convey. For example, in Nyaya, they define Vayu, air, as Ruparahita Sparshavan Vayuhu. So, in this Lakshana, there is a denial and there is a confirmation. The confirmation is that you can touch the air. That which you can touch is the air. If that is all the definition is, then obviously earth, water, fire, all these will come included into that definition. If you only say Ruparahitavan, which means it does not have a color, then Akasha, etc. will also come into that definition. But if you mix both and say Ruparahita Sparshavan, that which can be touched and which does not have any color is air or wind or Vayu, then the definition will fall only on Vayu and not on any other Vastu. Therefore, precise definition is very essential. Now, we are celebrating Shankara and we want to communicate clearly who this Shankara is. Supposing if I ask anyone to write a body copy is what is written in an advertisement where you explain the features of the object that is being advertised, say of a supercomputer, and somebody says that you can do calculations, the home calculations, you can do additions with it, then you are really not conveying what is it that you are trying to position. Because a supercomputer, of course, can do calculation, but that is not what it is meant for. Similarly, the most expensive phone, I guess it could be an iPhone 11 or whatever it is, pardon my ignorance here. But if it were to say that you can attend to phone calls, then again, that is not the unique feature of it. I can go on. And therefore, you need to define the object or the person very precisely so that everybody understands why is it that this person needs to be celebrated, and that too globally. And when we are talking of globally, it is not like merely the Indian community or within that the Advaita community is alone celebrating. Our intention, and I suppose it is the intention of the organizers of the celebration, to get everyone to celebrate Shankara. And therefore, he needs to be positioned. Would we position him as a person from Indian subcontinent? I was thinking, if supposing we were to do a global celebration for Bhagavan Krishna, would we say he was born in Mathura, Uttar Pradesh, Indian subcontinent? So, Lord Krishna from Indian subcontinent. We would never say that, because the moment you say he is the Lord of the universe. Why would we want to locate him? Again, would we want to position Shankara as one of the foremost thinkers? In my understanding, a thinker is someone who has got an independent idea of his own. He has thought through something very seriously, very deeply, and he has come up with some conclusions. I am willing to consider the likes of Maharishi Kanada, who proposed the Vaisheshika system, Maharishi Gautama, who proposed the Nyaya system, Maharishi Kapila, who proposed the Sankhya system, the likes of Aristotle and Plato. All these people are independent thinkers. Is Shankara an independent thinker? Meaning, whatever he propounded, was it his own thought? This needs to be understood. I will give the answer to this question a little later. But like I said, in the case of the example of Vayu, where you have to say what it is not and what it is. And in this very festival, Shankara is being positioned as a socio-cultural architect, a poet, a personality development consultant, a guru on entrepreneurship, leadership, philosopher. Please understand, it is not my intention to criticize anybody. Everybody has got the right to view anything in any which way they want. But here, the premise is we want to do a global celebration. And there has to be a reason. If he is being positioned or if he is being looked as a poet, then he should be one amongst many poets in a Kavi Sammelan, even if it is held at a global level, and he should be pitched against others in comparison. If he was a guru from whom we can learn about entrepreneurship, then he should be positioned against those people. I started applying my mind on how would Shankara himself want to see us, want us to see him. And here, I would like to share my personal experience with Swami Dayananda. I had the blessing of being the organizing secretary of his Sadapashegan celebrations, which were held in India in 2011. And in that connection, I used to interact with him quite often. And one day it so happened that we were going to Pollachi on car, and I went along with him to discuss a few things. After discussing, I asked Swamiji a question. You all know that Swamiji is a Vagayakara. He has written compositions. Bho Shambho, which is a very famous Carnatic music composition, he is the author. So I simply asked Swamiji, Swamiji, it is long since we have had a kriti from you. Swamiji looked at me and said, I don't write kritis, they come to me. And I thought at that point in time that he was suggesting something mystical. Maybe, God comes into him and he said, kritis come to me, and kritis come to me with the raga and even the tune. So I didn't want to proceed further because I thought it is some mystical space that he is talking about. Normally, Swamiji is not mystical at all. And I left it at that. And then subsequently, when I was rereading a lot of his articles, and you all know that he was the one who proclaimed conversion is violence. Now, Swami Dayananda was a teacher, an out and out a teacher. That is all that he would have preferred to do, and he has said this in his own words. Yet, he was prompted, he was motivated, he was forced into declaring that conversion is violence, following which he set up the Acharya Sabha, brought all the traditional mutts under one fold so that we could oppose, because the Pope at that time had declared that he wanted to harvest souls. And according to him, the souls were ready for harvesting because bhakti had already been planted. There is no need to make Indian people understand God. They understand God. Go ask any villager, where is God? He will say, he is there everywhere. And he is a devotee. All that they had to do was to remove the existing gods and plant the cross. And these were the Pope's words, that India and Asia is ready for harvest. We need to plant the cross in India. Now, because of this, and because Pujya Swamiji Dayananda understood the very person that he was, he understands that a bhakta is a core person. In relation to my wife, I am the husband. In relation to my mother, I am a son. In relation to my son, I am a father. I can't say in relation to my Lord, I am just a bhakta. Because Lord is absolute. Ishvara is absolute. And you cannot have a relative relationship with Ishvara. It is impossible. So I am a bhakta and a husband. I am a bhakta and a son. I am a bhakta and a father. This bhakta is part of my core person. And if that core person is going to be hurt because there were government sponsored fraud that was being committed by the missionaries in India, and therefore he had to rise to the occasion. Now, he did what he did and therefore set up Dharma Rakshana Samiti, etc., etc. But then, if you see whether he actually saw himself to be a socio-cultural reformer or somebody who was going to be fighting for the Indian cause or for the Hindu cause, no. He was a teacher. And he taught who Ishvara is. And therefore, he understands the relationship between a Bhakta and an Ishvara and the Ishvara. And therefore, he understands that if he is going to allow this fraud to continue, there is going to be anarchy, there is going to be violence. And people are caught. Hindus wanted to respond in self-defense, but their own religion preaches ahimsa. So they were caught, as it were, between the devil and the deep sea. What would they do? Dharma Sankata. This is what is called Dharma Sankata. And there comes out this reformer, whatever we can call him, out of Swami Dayananda. Now, if you were to take only this portion of Swami Dayananda and then try to position him as a Hindu activist, how wrong would that be? Similarly, let me now come to Shankara. Who is Shankara? Shankara was also a teacher, out and out a teacher. If you read his bhashya, his commentaries, his own words, you would very clearly see that he was a teacher. Definition of an acharya, that is why we address him as Shankaracharya. Achinoti aha shastrarthan acharye stapayatyapi swayam acharate yasmat tasmat acharya uchyate. Shastrarthan achinoti, having analyzed, understood, assimilated the meaning of the scriptures, swayam acharati, he follows, anyan acharayati, he ensures that others follow. Such a person is an acharya. Was Shankara a thinker? I left that question unanswered. No, he was not, because, in my opinion, because I defined a thinker as a person who comes up with his own original ideas. Shankara never ever said anything that was his own. The entire bhashya is on the Upanishads and the Brahma Sutra and Bhagavad Gita, none of which are his own compositions. He was only a commentator. And thank goodness for it. In fact, therefore, you can rely upon him. If it was an independent thinker, then that thought is only just one more question away from being challenged. Shankara was not a thinker. Shankara was a teacher. We also say, what did he teach? Shankara's teaching of oneness. This is not Shankara's teaching. It is the teaching of the scriptures. In fact, I wouldn't even use the word oneness. I would rather call it non-duality. If my grandson were to ask me, why does the ball fall down? I will not say it is Newton's gravity. I'll simply say because of gravity. If my grandson were to ask me, why does this train, which is stationary on the platform, appears to be moving while the other train is actually what is moving, then I will say it is because of relativity. I will not say it is because of Einstein's relativity. Gravity exists irrespective of whether Newton found it or not. Relativity exists irrespective of whether Einstein found it or not. Non-duality is what exists. That is the truth. But having said that, why do we say Shankara there? Why do we say Einstein's relativity? Is not because he basically invented relativity, he only discovered relativity, which was already there. Yet, why do we credit him with it? Is because what Einstein did was he applied, he understood the concept of relativity, extended it, and even concluded, therefore, that even constants such as time and space are relative, and even established a mathematical equation which could then be later on used for further applications. So he basically made the concept of relativity available for unfolding. He evolved a methodology whereby people could understand relativity without going around in circles. Because when you start talking about time bending and space bending, to an uninitiated person, it appears like gibberish. But Einstein provided access whereby such concepts could also be explained to normal minds in a classroom, of course. Similarly, Shankaracharya was the person who basically provided the methodology by which this non-duality, which is the teaching, which is the purport of the scriptures, could be understood and assimilated. And the need for the teaching is every other pramana, my perceptive pramana, the inference and postulation and comparison and shabda, and all those things are confirming duality. So if you were to pitch scripture against five or six other pramanas, then all other pramanas teach and give us knowledge of duality. It is only scriptures that give us knowledge of non-duality, and therefore there is a need to do samanvaya, to reconcile and to see whether there is actually a contradiction or is it only an apparent contradiction. Can both these coexist? These are all the subject matters that Shankara deals with. Now, why would still we have to celebrate? Yes, Shankara provided the methodology of non-duality, but why is it to be applied to the globe? Let us look at this as to why there is global applicability to what is being spoken in the scriptures, and therefore Shankara's relevance also as a global teacher. The fundamental problem that all of us suffer, and this is across the world for every human being, is self non-acceptance. What does mean by self non-acceptance? How do we figure out that there is self non-acceptance in me? Take the classical example of Arjuna. What was his problem? His problem was not that his inability to fight these people. Remember, just before the Mahabharata war, in the Virata war, he fought all the warriors on the Kaurava side single-handedly. So it is not like he was afraid. But his problem was one of self non-acceptance. What was the self non-acceptance that he had? I would not be happy fighting this war against people whom I respected and kill them. And I would not be happy not fighting the war also because I'm going to skip my duties. And there are so many people who are expecting me to fight. So either way, I'm not going to be happy. This was Arjuna's lot, which was centered on his self. Now take us, for example. Telling a lie, I am not happy. Not telling a lie, I am not happy. Being a spouse, I am not happy. Not being a spouse, I am not happy. Doing business, I am not happy. Not doing a business, any business, I am not happy. Having money, I am not happy. Not having money, I am not happy. Playing roles, I am not happy. Not playing roles, I am not happy. Being religious, I am not happy. Not being religious, I am not happy. Do you think a Muslim would be happy being a Muslim? No. They constitute only 20% of the population. They have still 80% to deal with, whom they have to either convert or you know what they do? You mean to say a Christian is going to be happy being a Christian? He would not, because he has got 70% of the world that he still needs to convert. And if he manages to convert all the soft people, the non-aggressive religions, such as the Hindus and the Buddhists and the Jains and whatever that is there left in the world, then there are going to be only two aggressive religions that are going to be left in the world. And for their sake, Hindus need to exist. Who's going to bring peace between the two aggressive religions who are going at each other's throat? Being religious, I'm not going to be happy because I have got this burden. And judgment day is not going to come until one of the other survives. Not being therefore, so I abandon my religion, I'm not going to be happy. I'm stuck. And it is not just these extremes. Look at this. The one who constantly complains, the one who constantly sulks, the one who finds fault, the one who is cynical, the one who is egoistic, the one who suffers from either inferiority or superiority complex, the one who is hurt, the one who is guilt, the one who has got OCD problems, the one who suffers from anxiety, the one who suffers from depression, the one who has got the ability not to trust anyone, even trolls, jingoism, nationalism, the one who fights for rights, the one who is proud, the one who is aggressive, anything that divides, anything that makes you violent, anything that makes you unhappy, the fundamental problem is self-non-acceptance. That's a person who can live with himself can live with anything else. And at this point in time, I would like to say that all those who have been listening to this, who have been part of this festival, when you raise questions, I would request sincerely, this is not just academics here we are talking of. This is life. This is experiencing the sense of liberation right here and now. And therefore, because I happen to see some questions from the previous recordings, there are questions about multiverse. Hey, you are not able to live with yourself. You are not able to live with the person who is there living with you in the same room. Why? How does it matter to you whether there is multiverse or not? This is the fundamental problem. And this is universal problem. The one of self non-acceptance is universal problem. Now, what do the scriptures say? Ekameva advitiyam brahma tat tvamasi. There is only one non-dual Brahman. That is the only vastu that exists in the world. And that Brahman is you. Appears absolutely fantastic. I'm not going to be explaining this to you. And please don't look for explanations online on these things. My request is, if you're serious about your pursuit, please commit to a classroom, do a systematic and committed study. Now, Shankara provided us the method to understand this declaration, which is opposed to every pramana that I know. If I can make myself acceptable, then I am liberated here and now. And this solution, the fact that the fundamental problem is universal and the solution is also universal, and the solution to be understood, to be assimilated, to be appreciated, comprehended, and to be made one's own has been laid out by Shankara. Therefore, he needs to be celebrated globally, because he addresses a global problem and he gives us a solution, a global solution to everybody. And this solution, if only you can make yourself acceptable to yourself, all other problems that you're looking solutions for are solved. They fall away. There is no need at all. And therefore, Shankara needs to be celebrated globally. Shankara created this sampradaya. In fact, he did not create the sampradaya. He actually got it from his gurus, and therefore he is a sampradaya with. I would like to only say one more thing. a lot of people say, if the wisdom is available in the scriptures, then why can't I read the scriptures on my own? Remember this: when you read, you have to read word by word, sentence by sentence, para by para. But when you understand them, you have to understand it within the context of the vision of the total. Therefore, it is only a person who has got the total vision will be able to understand each individual word within that context. And if that has to happen, so there is almost a catch-22. I have to know the total in order to know the individual. Unless I go through individually, I cannot know the total. How to solve this? Go to your guru. Who did he learn from? From his guru. Who was the Adi Guru? Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmad Acharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Therefore, because Shankaracharya addresses the fundamental problem, and he has beautifully laid out, he has created a sampradaya whereby he makes this knowledge, which apparently appears to be contradicting to every pramana that we know. He has given us a methodology, he has given us a prakriya by which we can make it our own. Therefore, he needs to be celebrated. So my conclusion is that Shankaracharya should be looked at as a teacher. That he did poetry, that he was a social, that incidentally there are other things that came out, is because of the person that he was and the understanding that he held. The only mission that he had to achieve was to create the sampradaya and leave it. And therefore, he established the mutts, created the sampradaya, and has made it available, and we are still making use of it. We should remain ever intended to him for this, and therefore he deserves, in my opinion, if there is any one person who deserves a global celebration by everyone, it is Shankaracharya. Thank you.
Dr. Sukavanam, thank you so much. That was an extremely powerful message. Your passion, your conviction shows clearly in the words you choose and in your spirit. I totally agree with you. And throughout this festival, several people have pointed out that Shankara has sort of kept up the tradition, that's Shastra Pramana, that from his gurus, and it happens even in Silicon Valley. And you said you are a businessman. It's not about inventing something totally new. It's how we package it and how we make it consumable is where the trick is, and that's what a good teacher does. And in the festival, somebody also said, if you want to become a musician, you can't read a music book. If you want to become a doctor, you can't just buy all the doctor books and just go read them. You need someone who has internalized that mission, that knowledge and wisdom, and learn. So even Vedanta is like that. And you again reiterated, find a guru, find a guru, find a guru. And that's exactly what Shankara had, gurus, and he has again created so many gurus for all these thousands and thousands of years. So thank you so much. So there are, we just have a few minutes for questions. Everybody was super inspired by your message, and your simple call that self-acceptance is the solution, self-non-acceptance is the problem, is something that we should tell more people, to just say the solution is with you or the problem is with you. So one question is, it's again, how do we get people to be comfortable with themselves? And there's so many conversions going on. Because people are not comfortable, like you correctly said. Do you have any comments on that? I mean, what can Indians do to become comfortable with who they are?
Well, they have to read. They have to first of all recognize that they have a problem, and they should commit themselves to gain this knowledge, whereby they understand who that self is. Because right now, everybody's idea is I am this body, mind, sense complex. Is it really, am I really this body, mind, sense complex, or am I something more, as the Upanishads reveal, as the scriptures reveal? And this is not a simple revelation. As I said, it contradicts every pramana that we know, and therefore people will have to commit. And all that we need to do as organizers of this festival and people who have benefited from Shankara is to basically say that this is your fundamental problem and the solution is here. You need to work towards gaining that. There is no easy solution. There is no one-word answer to these.
Yes. Wonderful.
And as far as conversions are concerned, I would like to assure people, Bhagavan Krishna has said, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. From a teacher, from any one of you, he can bring out this person. As I just outlined, Swami Dayananda was a teacher. He was taking classes in an ashram. Bhagavan Krishna brought him out and said that, declare that conversion is violence. So he will bring, you could become one. Nimitta matram bhava. Become an instrument, hand yourself over. Don't assume the responsibilities which are of Ishvara. It will happen. Don't worry. You figure it out first of all who you are.
Wonderful, sir. Wonderful. And again, the example of, Puja Swamiji is also very, very good, right? That ignition happens and somebody will step up, and it's also Ishvara Krupa only. Sir, do you have any website that people can learn more about your talks, about your ideas? So how can people learn more about your work?
No, unfortunately, I have not. In fact, this would probably be the first thing that I've actually come across on a global platform and addressed. I am still preparing myself. And so at this point in time, no, I don't have a website. I don't have this thing. I have a bunch of students with whom I study. In fact, when you introduced me from my bio, the one word which I really wanted you to mention, which you skipped, was that I'm first a student and then a teacher.
Yes, agreed. No, I think we are all students.
So, and I specifically put it there. I consider myself a student, and I consider people whom I teach as my co-students. So no, I do not have, but God willing, if that is basically how it should be, then I will reach you all.
It shall happen. So some people are asking, is it okay to communicate with you via email?
Most certainly.
If it's okay with that, we can share your email to the audience.
Krishnan.sugavanam@gmail.com. You can put it here. Krishnan. Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Excellent. So I think your sort of inspiring speech should reach a lot of young people to really sort of get them comfortable in their own skin and body, and not feel the limitation that is it. That is who they are. The whole Adhyasa idea. And I hope your message reaches a lot of young people in India, so that everybody feels comfortable in as to who they are, and find the guru to sort of learn our tradition. So thank you so much for coming on to this platform and making this festival so successful. We are glad to actually host you, and we hope to bring you back again, because we want this conversation to sort of continue and also bring multiple perspectives. And you summarized it so beautifully. Let's not get lost about he's a poet or whatever. He's a teacher, and he has brought the ancient wisdom in a way that we should be so proud of. And it is so relevant to solve the problems of today. It is definitely this worldly, like we heard over and over again. So thank you very much for your wonderful and inspiring message. Sometimes we don't want to end these conversations, but because of time limitations, we have to.
Of course, so thank you. Thank you all for being with me. Thanks to the Advaita Academy for having given me this opportunity. God bless you all. Hari Om. Namaste.
Hari Om. So this concludes the session today of the day 16 of our celebration of the of global oneness. So we'll see you again in about 11 hours for day 17, session number 1. And if the organizers can actually bring up the flyer for session number 17, we are going to have 2 talks again. A wonderful guru that I have known, Sri Vijay Kapoor, is going to talk about Shankara's disciples. Again, we have heard from many of those Shankara's disciples, from the descendants of, from the disciples of Dayananda Saraswati ji, Sringeri Matham and Kanchi Matham, and so many Swamijis have come. And so Vijay Kapoor ji will talk a little more about Shankara's disciples, followed by Samskrita Sangeetam, an ode to Shankara and his teachings, which is going to be in Sanskrit and Tamil. That's going to come to us in the form of video by Srimati Bhuvana Mohana Sundaram. So it's going to happen at 6 a.m. India time, Thursday, the 14th of May. So look forward to seeing you all. Please invite your friends. And a festival becomes great when we have a lot of our own family and friends, a part of it. So let people know. It's very easy to register. You have to register once for the morning session, once for the evening session, and you are automatically registered for all the morning sessions and evening sessions. So with that, thank you so much for joining, and thanks to all the speakers who are making this festival so inspiring and so much food for thought. Thank you. Namaste.